What if the most valuable coin in your house is a nickel everyone else would ignore? The modern Jefferson nickels with the right error, strike, or ugly-looking condition can shock collectors. Before you spend another 5 cents, dig through your pockets, jars, and old rolls right now, because the rare one usually hides among the most ordinary coins. Let's get started. A 2010 D. Jefferson nickel is exactly the kind of coin people ignore, and that's what makes it perfect for a high-engagement treasure hunt story. It has everything that looks ordinary on the surface. I in God we trust, Liberty, e pluribus unum, Monticello, 5 cents, United States of America. And yet modern nickels can still become collector targets when the right details appear. The magic of a coin like this is not that every example is rare. The magic is that almost nobody checks them carefully, which means the few that are truly unusual can sit in plain sight for years, while everyone spends them without a second thought. The first thing that makes this coin interesting is the Denver Mint mark, the little D, that quietly tells you where it was struck. That one letter matters because collectors don't just collect a nickel, they collect exact issues by date and mint. A normal 2010 D nickel in worn condition is usually worth face value, but a sharply struck, well-preserved example can already feel different in hand. Modern coins are often handled roughly in bags and rolls before they even reach circulation, so a clean survivor with strong luster and minimal contact marks can stand out far more than most people realize. That's the emotional hook your audience loves. A common date can still hide an uncommon coin. Now let's talk about why condition turns an ordinary nickel into a collector conversation. A circulated coin loses detail fast on Jefferson's face and on the Monticello reverse, especially in the finer lines and edges. But when a coin still has bright original luster and crisp details, it enters a different category because collectors know how hard it is for a modern coin to survive untouched. This is where your script becomes stronger than the usual hype videos. You're not saying every nickel is worth a fortune. You're saying the market rewards the best preserved examples and the clearly unusual ones. And that sounds smart, believable, and exciting at the same time. The reverse design is one of the easiest ways to build suspense in your video because Monticello is familiar, but tiny strike differences change everything. Viewers should look at the sharpness of the building, the clarity of the lettering, and the overall texture of the fields under light. A weak strike can flatten some details in a way that looks disappointing, while a stronger strike makes the coin feel sharper and more premium. Then comes the real thrill. If any part of the design looks missing, shifted, cracked, or unnaturally doubled, the coin stops being just a nickel and starts becoming a possible error story. Mint errors are where a 2010 D. Jefferson nickel can suddenly become the star of the jar. Off-center strikes can shift the design and leave visible blank space, especially dramatic when the date and mint mark are still readable. Broad strikes can make the coin look slightly spread with an unusual rim. Clipped planchettes can leave a smooth, curved section missing from the edge, and strike-through errors can create missing design details where grease or debris block the strike. Die cracks and cuds can appear as raised lines or lumps, and raised is the word viewers need to remember, because raised features often point to a die problem while cuts and gouges usually point to damage after the coin left the mint. But the smartest and most valuable part of your script is the reality check that protects your audience from false hope. Not every strange-looking nickel is rare. Coins get scraped, stained, heated, and cleaned all the time, and those problems often look dramatic without adding collector value. Machine doubling is another trap, because it can create a flat, shelf-like effect that people mistake for a true double die. A true mint-made variety usually looks cleaner, stronger, and more consistent than random wear or damage. This section makes your content feel deep and trustworthy, because you're teaching viewers how to think like collectors instead of just feeding them fantasy. The bicentennial angle fits beautifully here as a second layer of excitement, even though the 2010 D nickel itself is not a bicentennial coin. The point is that the same treasure hunt logic applies across U.S. coins. Most are common, but a few special examples. Proofs, high-grade pieces, silver versions in some series, and dramatic mint errors. become the real prizes. So when someone starts by checking a 2010 D nickel, they often end up checking bicentennial quarters, half dollars, old pennies, and every forgotten coin in the house. That's how a simple nickel turns into a channel-worthy check your whole collection moment. The most powerful close for a video like this is simple and serious. Don't spend suspicious coins until you know exactly what you have. Hold the coin by the edges. Never clean it. Use strong light to inspect Jefferson, Monticello, the rim, and the mint mark, and compare it with another normal nickel if you can. Most 2010 D nickels will be worth 5 cents, but a top condition example, or a real mint error, can absolutely be worth saving and researching. And that's what makes the hunt so addictive. Because the coin everyone overlooks is often the one that teaches you how real collector value is found. Stay tuned and watch next coin, and don't forget that subscribe to my channel Legacy Coins USA. Next up, a 2012 P. Jefferson nickel is the kind of coin almost nobody stops to inspect, and that is exactly why it works so well in a high-engagement coin story. It carries all the classic words collectors know. I in God we trust. Liberty, e pluribus, unum, Monticello. 5 cents. United States of America. But to the average person, it still feels like nothing more than 5 cents. That contrast is the whole thrill. The coins that create the biggest surprise are often the ones people spend without thinking, and a modern nickel like this can turn from ordinary pocket change into a serious collector conversation the moment one unusual detail appears. The P mint mark is the first clue, and it matters more than most viewers realize. That little letter means Philadelphia, and in modern U.S. coins, exact date and mint combinations are how collectors separate one issue from another. A normal 2012 P nickel in worn circulation is usually just face value, but the market doesn't reward normal. It rewards high-grade examples, special surfaces, and mint-made mistakes. That's the angle that keeps people watching. Not every coin is valuable, but the right 2012 P can still become worth saving if it lands in the narrow zone where condition or error turns common metal into collector demand. Now bring in the part that makes modern nickels more interesting than people expect: survival quality. Modern nickels are produced in large numbers, but that does not mean perfectly preserved ones are easy to find. They get knocked around in mint bags, rolled tightly, shipped in bulk, and spent quickly. So the moment a coin escapes all that damage and keeps its original luster, it becomes more attractive. That's the deep collector truth most viral posts miss. Rarity is not always about low mintage. Sometimes rarity is about how few examples survive in the sharp, clean, original condition that advanced collectors actually want. The obverse of the coin gives you one of the easiest visual stories to tell. Jefferson's portrait can reveal wear quickly, especially on the cheek, jawline, and hair detail. A heavily circulated coin softens in those places, while a stronger coin still has crisp lines and brighter surfaces under light. Then there's the overall eye appeal, whether the coin looks naturally preserved or awkwardly polished. This is where a serious narrator sounds powerful. A coin can be bright and still be bad if it's been cleaned, and it can be dark and still be collectible if the surfaces are original. That one idea changes how viewers look at every nickel they own. The Monticello reverse is where your audience starts hunting like collectors. Most people glance at the building and move on, but tiny differences in the strike and surfaces can tell a bigger story. Sharp lettering, clear architectural lines, and even texture across the fields are all signs of a better coin. If the design looks weak, mushy, or incomplete, it could simply be wear. Or it could be something more interesting, like a strike issue. That uncertainty is what makes the reverse so useful in a script, because it turns a familiar building into a puzzle. Once viewers hear that, they start checking Monticello nickels in a completely different way. Now we get to the part that makes the whole thing feel alive: mint errors. A 2012 P. Jefferson nickel can become truly collectible if it shows a dramatic, verifiable error. Off-center strikes are one of the easiest to explain because part of the design is visibly shifted and blank space remains. Broad strikes can make the coin look wider or oddly rimless. Clipped planchettes leave a smooth, missing section at the edge. Strike-through errors can remove or distort part of the design when debris or grease interferes during striking. Die cracks and cuds create raised lines or blobs that are part of the coin itself. These are the moments where a 5-cent piece becomes a real conversation starter. But the strongest scripts don't just build excitement. They also protect the audience from the traps. Many weird-looking modern nickels are damaged, not rare. Heat can discolor them, tools can scrape them, and chemicals can make them look unusual in ways that add no collector value. Machine doubling is another major confusion point because it creates a flat, shelf-like effect that people often mistake for a valuable doubled die. The difference matters. A true variety or mint error tends to look clean, repeated, and integrated into the strike, while damage looks random and harsh. When you explain that clearly, your viewers trust you more, and that trust keeps them coming back. The bicentennial treasure hunt energy fits naturally into a nickel video, even though the 2012 P is not itself a bicentennial coin. The reason is psychological. Once people start checking one coin, they start checking everything. They move from modern nickels to bicentennial quarters, old wheat cents, state quarters, and $1 coins sitting in forgotten jars. That turns your script into more than a single coin story. It becomes permission for the audience to audit their entire collection. And that's the kind of feeling that gets people to share the video, because now they're bringing family and friends into the hunt. The strongest ending is calm, deep, and actionable. Most 2012 P. Jefferson nickels are worth 5 cents, but the right high-grade example, or a real mint-made error, can absolutely be worth setting aside and researching. So don't rush to spend every modern nickel. Check the mint mark, study Jefferson, inspect Monticello under strong light, and never clean a coin that looks unusual. In the coin world, life-changing finds are rare. But the skill of recognizing them starts with coins exactly like this one, the kind everyone else would have spent without even looking. Next up. A 2015 Jefferson nickel is the kind of coin most people would spend without even looking twice. And that is exactly why it makes such a strong treasure hunt story. It has all the classic American coin language. In God we trust. Liberty, e pluribus unum, Monticello, 5 cents, United States of America. But because it feels modern, people assume it can't possibly matter. That assumption is where the excitement begins. In coin collecting, the biggest surprises often come from the coins everyone ignores, because modern coins can still hold hidden value through condition, rarity at the top grade, or genuine mint errors that most people never notice. The first detail that matters is the D mint mark, because that tells you your nickel was struck at the Denver Mint. To a casual viewer that seems minor, but to a collector, it's the identity code that turns a random nickel into a specific issue. A normal 2015 D in everyday circulated condition is usually worth face value, but the market never rewards the average coin just because it exists. The coins that rise above 5 cents are the ones that survive in outstanding condition, the ones with unusually strong visual appeal, or the ones that left the mint with a real documentable error. That's the angle that keeps audiences engaged, because the story is not about every coin, it's about the rare exception hidden among common ones. Now bring the viewer closer to the front of the coin, because the obverse is where the first signs of quality or weakness start to show. Jefferson's portrait on modern nickels can reveal wear quickly around the cheek, jaw, and hair detail, even when the coin still looks fine at a glance. A strong coin will often show cleaner fields, sharper design lines, and better luster under a single bright light. This is where your script sounds deeper and smarter than the usual hype. A coin does not need to be old to become collectible. It just needs to survive better than its millions of competitors. That idea changes the whole way viewers look at modern change. The reverse, with Monticello, is where a collector starts reading the coin like evidence. Most people only see a building, but the serious eye sees strike strength, surface quality, and possible anomalies. Are the letters in Monticello and 5 cents crisp and even, or do they look weak or strangely formed? Do the fields look smooth and original, or are they covered in scratches and dullness from circulation? The better the strike and the cleaner the surfaces, the more a 2015 D nickel starts to separate itself from the pack. And the moment anything looks shifted, missing, cracked, or doubled, the ordinary nickel becomes something worth investigating. That's where mint errors enter the story, and this is the part that grabs the audience hardest. A 2015 D. Jefferson nickel can become genuinely collectible if it shows a dramatic mint-made mistake. Off-center strikes are among the most visual because part of the design is missing and blank space appears. Broad strikes can make the coin look spread out or oddly shaped around the rim. Clipped planchettes can create a smooth, curved missing section at the edge. Strike-through errors happen when grease or debris blocks part of the strike, leaving missing or distorted design details. Die cracks and cuds can form raised lines or lumps that are part of the metal itself. These are the kinds of errors that make people stop, zoom in, and wonder whether they've been spending valuable coins by accident. But the strongest scripts don't just build excitement, they also protect the viewer from false treasure. A lot of coins that look strange are simply damaged. Heat can discolor them, tools can scratch or flatten them, and chemical exposure can create odd textures and stains that have nothing to do with the mint. Machine doubling is another trap, because it often looks like a flat shadow on letters and numbers, which many beginners mistake for a rare doubled die. A true mint-made variety usually looks more deliberate, more consistent, and more integrated into the design. This section makes your content feel serious and trustworthy because you're helping viewers avoid getting fooled. The bicentennial treasure hunt feeling still works beautifully around a 2015 nickel, even though the coin itself is not a bicentennial issue. The reason is simple. One checked coin leads to 10 more. Someone starts by inspecting a 2015 D nickel, then suddenly they're checking old bicentennial quarters, state quarters, wheat pennies, and $1 coins sitting in a jar for years. That widening search is part of what makes coin videos so addictive. You're not just talking about one nickel anymore. You're opening the door to a whole hidden world where ordinary change becomes a puzzle. One of the biggest hidden value points in a coin like this is condition at the highest level. Most people think rarity only means low mintage, but modern coins often prove that rarity can mean something else. Top quality. Millions of nickels may have been struck, but far fewer survive with exceptional surfaces, strong luster, and minimal contact marks. That's why high-grade modern coins can surprise people in the market. A coin that looks perfect compared to all the others can become desirable, simply because almost none stayed that clean. In other words, the rarest 2015 D nickel may not be the oldest-looking one. It may be the freshest-looking one. This is also where the "don't clean it" rule becomes absolutely essential. If a nickel looks unusual, don't try to improve it. Cleaning can leave hairlines, remove natural texture, and kill the originality collectors want. Even a dark or slightly dirty coin can still be collectible if the surfaces are natural, while a polished coin may lose much of its appeal. The right move is always the same. Hold it by the edges, store it safely, and inspect it under good light. If something really stands out, photograph both sides clearly and compare it with a normal example before making any claims or decisions. The strongest ending for a 2015 D. Jefferson nickel story is this. Most are worth 5 cents, but the few that rise above that do so because they teach you how real value works in coin collecting. It's not magic, and it's not hype. It's identification, condition, originality, and the rare mint-made mistake that turns an ordinary coin into something people actually want. That's what keeps the hunt alive, because once you learn how to see those details, even the most ordinary nickel in your pocket can start to feel like a question waiting to be answered. Next up, a 2021 P. Jefferson nickel is exactly the kind of coin people overlook because it feels too new to matter, and that is what makes it so powerful for a high-engagement coin story. It carries all the familiar American inscriptions, In God We Trust, Liberty e Pluribus Unum, Monticello, 5 cents, United States of America, but most people still treat it like ordinary 5-cent change. That's the perfect setup for surprise, because in coin collecting, modern does not mean worthless. A coin can be recent and still become desirable if it has the right condition, the right strike quality, or the kind of real mint error that makes collectors stop and look twice. The P mint mark is where the story begins, because that small letter tells you the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. To casual viewers, it looks like a tiny detail. To collectors, it is the coin's identity badge. A 2021 P nickel in normal circulation is usually worth face value, but once you move into the world of top-grade modern coins, things change fast. Modern nickels are made in huge numbers, but they are also banged around in bags, rolls, and machines almost immediately, which means a truly clean, sharply struck coin can stand out more than people expect. The market is often not chasing old, it is chasing better than normal. And that's what makes modern coins such a hidden hunting ground. Now bring the audience close to the front of the coin, because the obverse tells a quality story even before you talk about value. Jefferson's portrait can reveal wear, weakness, and surface quality in seconds if you know where to look. The cheek, jawline, hair detail, and the fields around the portrait all show whether the coin has been heavily handled or whether it still has that strong original mint look. This is where your script gets stronger than the usual internet hype. You're not just saying this nickel could be rare. You're showing viewers that condition is visible, and that a nickel with strong luster and fewer marks can already be more interesting than a dull, overhandled piece of the same date. The reverse with Monticello is where the coin starts behaving like a puzzle. Most viewers see a building and move on, but collectors see strike clarity, field texture, lettering sharpness, and the possibility of mistakes. Look at the details in Monticello, the spacing in 5 cents, and the overall crispness of the design. If the reverse looks weak or mushy, that may simply be circulation or strike softness. But if it looks off, shifted, incomplete, cracked, or oddly formed, that is where the excitement begins. The reverse is often where a perfectly normal coin suddenly becomes something worth saving. Mint errors are the real headline makers, and on a 2021 P. Jefferson nickel, that's where the audience truly leans in. A dramatic off-center strike can shift the entire design and leave visible blank space. A broad strike can make the coin look spread and oddly rimless. A clipped planchet can create a smooth, curved, missing section at the edge that looks too clean to be random damage. A strike-through can remove or distort details if debris or grease got in the way during minting. Die cracks and cuds can form raised lines or lumps that become part of the coin's story forever. These are the kinds of things that turn 5 cents into a conversation piece. But the script becomes truly professional when you add the warning that most channels skip. A lot of strange-looking coins are not rare at all. They are just damaged. Heat can stain them, tools can flatten them, chemicals can eat into the surface, and machine doubling can trick people into thinking they found a true double die. The difference matters. True mint-made varieties and errors usually look consistent and built into the strike, while post-mint damage often looks random, harsh, or cut into the metal. When you explain that clearly, your audience trusts you more, and trust is what keeps people coming back instead of moving on to the next flashy claim. The bicentennial treasure feeling still works beautifully in a modern nickel script, even though a 2021 P nickel is not a bicentennial coin. The reason is simple and powerful. One coin check leads to another. A person starts by inspecting a 2021 nickel, then they pull out bicentennial quarters, state quarters, old wheat pennies, and forgotten dollar coins from a jar. That expansion of the hunt is what makes your content addictive. It stops being about one coin and becomes about the possibility that ordinary household change is hiding a real collector find. That feeling is what drives comments, shares, and repeat views. One of the most underrated value stories in modern coins is grade rarity. Millions of 2021 P nickels may exist, but not many will survive in nearly perfect condition with minimal marks, sharp strikes, and attractive original surfaces. That means the rarest version of the coin may not be the oldest-looking one, but the cleanest and most untouched one. This flips the audience's expectation, and that twist is incredibly strong for retention. People expect old and ugly to mean valuable, but modern coins teach a different lesson. Sometimes perfection is the rarity, and once viewers hear that, they start checking every modern coin they own more carefully. The most powerful ending is calm, serious, and memorable. Most 2021 P. Jefferson nickels will always be worth 5 cents, but the few that escape the ordinary do so because of condition, originality, or a real mint-made error that collectors can prove. So do not rush to spend every modern nickel without checking it first. Hold it by the edges, never clean it, study Jefferson and Monticello under strong light, and compare anything suspicious with a normal example. That's how real coin hunting begins. Not with fantasy, but with attention. And sometimes, attention is exactly what turns an overlooked modern coin into a story worth telling. Next up, a 2022 P. Jefferson nickel is the kind of coin people spend without a thought, flick into cup holders, or leave at the bottom of a drawer. Yet that is exactly what makes it dangerous in the best possible way. The most valuable coin stories rarely begin with something that looks legendary. They begin with something ordinary, overlooked, and easy to dismiss. That is why a modern nickel can create such strong audience engagement. Nobody expects a recent 5-cent piece with "I in God we trust," "Liberty, e pluribus unum," Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America to hold real collector interest. And that surprise is the heart of the hunt. The first thing that matters is the little P mint mark, because in coin collecting, tiny letters create huge differences. That P tells you the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and it turns a random nickel into a specific issue with its own population, strike quality, and collector interest. A normal 2022 P nickel in circulation is usually just 5 cents, but collector value never comes from the average example. It comes from the exception, the coin with cleaner surfaces, stronger luster, sharper detail, or the kind of mint-made mistake that makes people stop, zoom in, and ask whether they've been spending valuable change by accident. Now here is where the story becomes more powerful than the usual "old coins are worth money" narrative. A 2022 P nickel is modern, and that is exactly the twist. Modern coins often get overlooked because people assume age is everything, but collectors know that age is only one part of the puzzle. Modern coins can still become collectible if they survive in unusually high grades or show dramatic mint errors. In fact, because modern coins are handled so roughly in bags, rolls, and circulation, a truly clean one can be harder to find than people think. That makes the search feel immediate. Viewers do not need an antique shop or inheritance. They can start with the change in their pocket. When you bring the viewer to the obverse, Jefferson's portrait becomes your first storytelling tool. The cheek, jawline, hair detail, and the fields around the portrait tell a condition story almost instantly. A coin that has lived hard will look dull, marked, and worn in the highest areas. A stronger coin still flashes with original luster under light and keeps a cleaner, fresher look. This is the kind of detail that makes a script feel deep and serious. You are not just saying, "check the date." You are teaching people to read the coin the way collectors do. And that transformation in the viewer's mindset is what keeps them engaged. Then comes the reverse, and Monticello turns into more than just a building. On a normal glance, it feels routine, but under strong light, it becomes a landscape of clues. Look at the sharpness of the lettering in Monticello and 5 cents. Look at the balance of the fields, and whether the surfaces seem smooth and original or broken up by hits and scratches. Watch for softness in the design that might come from circulation, and then watch even closer for anything truly unusual. Missing detail, strange doubling, distorted shape, raised cracks, or an odd rim. That is the moment where a plain nickel stops being background noise and becomes evidence. The error conversation is where modern coins become addictive. A 2022 P. Jefferson nickel can be genuinely collectible if it shows a clear mint-made mistake. Off-center strikes are among the most dramatic because the whole design shifts and part of the blank remains visible. Broad strikes can make the coin look spread with an unusual rim. Clipped planchets leave a curved, clean missing section on the edge. Strike-through errors can create missing or distorted parts of the design if grease or debris blocked the strike. Die cracks and cuds can produce raised lines or lumps that were born with the coin, not scratched into it later. These are the details that make people replay the video and recheck their own nickels. But the smartest, strongest part of your script is the warning that protects viewers from fake treasure. Many coins that look strange are simply damaged after leaving the mint. Heat can alter color, tools can flatten letters, chemicals can roughen the surface, and ordinary circulation can mimic rare effects. Machine doubling is another classic trap because it can create a flat, shelf-like look that beginners confuse with a true doubled die. The serious collector rule is simple but powerful. Mint-made oddities usually look integrated and consistent, while damage looks random, harsh, or cut into the metal. When you teach that clearly, you gain trust, and trust is what builds a real coin audience. This is also where the "don't clean it" rule becomes a headline of its own. A lot of people think cleaning helps a coin, but to collectors, cleaning often destroys the very originality that gives a coin its value. It can leave hairline scratches, create unnatural brightness, and wipe away the untouched surface that graders and buyers want to see. So if a 2022 P nickel looks unusual, the correct move is not to improve it. The correct move is to preserve it exactly as found, hold it by the edges, and study it under good light. That one habit separates a careful coin hunter from someone who accidentally ruins the evidence. Even though your coin is not a bicentennial issue, the bicentennial treasure hunt feeling still fits perfectly into the video. Why? Because once viewers start checking one coin, they almost always start checking all of them. They move from a 2022 P nickel to bicentennial quarters, old state quarters, wheat pennies, and dollar coins that have been sitting in jars for years. The nickel becomes the trigger, not the destination. That's what makes the script feel bigger than one coin. It turns the viewer's home into a hidden search field, and that emotional shift is exactly what makes people keep watching and sharing. Another deep angle that makes this coin more interesting is top-grade rarity. Millions of 2022 P nickels were made, but only a tiny fraction will survive with exceptional eye appeal, almost no marks, and the kind of crisp strike that advanced collectors notice immediately. This is one of the most misunderstood truths in the hobby. A modern coin can become special not because very few were minted, but because very few remained nearly perfect. The rarest version of the coin may not look old at all. It may look too clean, too sharp, and too untouched to be ordinary. That reversal of expectation is one of the strongest storytelling tools you can use. The best way to end this kind of video is with calm, serious momentum. Most 2022 P. Jefferson nickels will always be worth 5 cents, and saying that honestly makes everything else you say stronger. But the few that rise above face value do so because of condition, originality, or a real mint-made error that collectors can verify. So the smart move is not blind excitement. It is attention. Check the mint mark, study Jefferson, inspect Monticello, examine the rim, and compare anything suspicious to a normal example before spending it. Because in coin collecting, the biggest surprises often hide in the smallest coins, and the people who find them are usually the ones who bothered to look. Thanks dear for watching this video, and don't forget that subscribe.